I'd like to call this meeting to order. 5:30, Monday, July 24th, regular board meeting, Orange Unified School District Board of Education. Trustee Rumsey, do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay. Move on to item 1C, public comment on closed session items. We have cards?
We have
Trustee
no
Rumsey?
comments.
No comments? Okay.
Oh, hold on one second.
Oh,
This is closed session?
okay.
Okay, we do have some comments.
All right. So I'll read this out. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes per topic. Persons wishing to speak should submit a public comment card prior to the meeting. So as soon as Mrs. Rumsey,
I'm ready.
you're ready? Okay. Call the first card, please.
Linda Cohn.
Excuse me, Ms. Cohn, just a reminder to everyone to speak to things on the closed session agenda,
Yes.
please. Thank you.
Item 2A,
Okay.
Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Government Code
Perfect.
54957. Okay, thank you. Thank you, President Ledesma. In reporting out in closed session today, it would be really helpful, President Ledesma, to remind all of us that you are prohibited from reporting any details of your discussion on item 2A. And to do so would be a violation of the Brown Act. When I speak to community members about issues surrounding the recall, the number one question they ask me is, why did the board fire the superintendent? Most of them understand when I tell them that the board isn't allowed to tell you why because of the Brown Act. But I always ask them, would you like to know some of the information that I have gotten from various people, particularly parents and members of the community? And their answer is invariably, yes, I would. So I proceed to tell them. And I have an 8-point sheet of paper that I can talk from, and it's pretty much factual and observation. Excuse me?
Please proceed. Please proceed. Thank you.
What I'm saying is your constituents need to know and understand that the board, unfortunately, cannot give their reasons for their firing of the superintendent, and to do so would be a violation of the law. Just one more thing that I'd like to add. I think everyone needs to know that when some of this information comes out, I always tell people to look at the facts, to do their own investigation. And we're now having people coming to various members of the anti-recall group to get forms to sign that will remove their signatures from the petitions. I think that's important to know. And the reason that they always give to us when they ask them is the same. We were lied to.
Next one.
Okay, we do have 11 comment cards for 2B. So
2B.
that's 33 minutes if we stay at 3 minutes per comment.
Okay, well, okay, we have 11 for 2B.
Okay. So we'll stay at 3 minutes per speaker.
No, I think we need to stay at 2 minutes. Let's make that 2 minutes per speaker.
Okay.
So we have 11
So
cards
these-
for 2B, so 2 minutes per speaker, please.
Yep. All
Oh,
right.
excuse me, I'm sorry. This has to be a collaborative decision.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Yeah, I want to hear from board members.
It's actually
Yes.
12. There's 12.
There's 12, so 2 minutes per speaker. That would give us 24 minutes. We have a pretty busy
About one.
closed session.
I would say
agenda.
1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, anyone else want to chime in?
I think you should
if you're going to change it to 2, because you're changing it again at the last minute. We haven't finalized that policy that we talked about. And like I said, to date, we've still never actually enforced the policy that we have. So I think it's fair to keep it at 2 minutes. That way, if anybody does have something to say, I think it's a lot easier to go from 3 minutes to 2 minutes than it is to go from 3 to 1.
This discussion is within policy. We as a board can decide to change it up here. It is within policy. Yes. Anyone else?
I agree with Trustee Erickson, and I think that we should do 2 minutes, being that we didn't give the public warning or advance notice that they will be speaking 1 minute. It's hard to adjust on the fly.
And it's also hard to figure out how many cards we're going to get in one night, right? Anyone else?
If they know the policy in advance, then they could have prepared for that.
Well, the policy, we are working the policy right now.
I know, but it's not approved yet.
No, this is within policy, right, Mr. Gonzalez? That we,
Yes, for the board to decide to change that, it
Right.
would need to be an agreement by the board. And I think based on the number of speakers on this item, that would, if it's 2 minutes, it would put you over 4 minutes, right?
right. But that is the board's decision to make.
Yeah.
I think the point, Mr. Ledesma, isn't that it is within the current policy. We would all agree it's within the current policy. Your practice, however, has never been to follow the policy. And so as a matter of practice, we haven't limited the comment.
Well, Trustee Erickson, it's either within the policy or not within the policy. You just said we're not following policy, and I just told you we did. So am I correcting you?
I don't know if you're correcting me, but I've been coming to these meetings for about 10 years, most of those as a parent, and you never, ever actually followed the policy. It's always been 3 minutes and unlimited speaking. And we are currently trying to get to a point where we're going to actually have a policy that we're going to follow, which I think is a good idea. I just don't think we should do it at the last minute. I think that we should allow notice to the public so that they know what to expect when they show up.
I
So-
believe last meeting it was shortened for the speaking times.
Right. We
But we have done
collaborated
it at
and
the
made the
last
decision.
meeting. And then
Right.
when I was coming as a parent as well, it was shortened for my time to speak as well.
So I think, considering the time right now, I think we should do 2 minutes per speaker.
Okay. Trustee Page?
I agree, 2 minutes.
Okay. We're going to go with
2 minutes.
Go with 2 minutes per speaker.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joe Lynn.
Hello, this is my first year coming to board meetings this time of year, so I don't know how common that many replacements and new hires are, but it seems like there's an awful lot to me. I see one of the items is superintendent, so I hope that means that we're starting the superintendent search so we can get a good plan to add some stability to stop the just turmoil we've been in since we've lost our superintendent. So I'm really hoping that you're moving forward with a thoughtful superintendent search where we can get input from the community, parents, from all sides of the community, and really get the superintendent that our children deserve. Thank you.
Senator Gloria Romero.
Good evening, honorable board members. I am former Senator Gloria Romero. I'm back here again this evening. And to me, really, it's not about the past, it's about the transition to the future. And that's what I think is so exciting in seeing this board. The people of Orange have spoken. They've chosen to bring in a new wave of voices, of reform, of meeting the needs of parents and children in Orange. And so I look forward to your support of the interim superintendent becoming the permanent superintendent. As I understand it, he would be the first Latino to be voted in as the superintendent for Orange Unified. And for a community that is so significant, not only in Orange, but in Orange County overall, this is quite a momentous change, and I applaud you for doing that. I've had the opportunity to work with, of course, you as the board, the staff. The superintendent has been very, very strong in terms of being faithful to the law itself, to looking at rules and regulations. I think he would be somebody that, should the board approve us later on this evening, we hope you will, that we will be able to work well with the new superintendent. So having worked with many superintendents in California, I think he's a strong candidate, and I would strongly urge your support. Let's usher in a new era, and let's go forth boldly with courage and with support for all. Thank you.
Mr. Ledesma, I have a question.
Yes.
Based on what Ms. Cohn had said, information was not, is there information out in the public that we're not aware of?
The agenda has it.
Well, Ms. Romero acted as if she knows who the candidate is, and I'm just curious how she would know that.
I don't know. It's on the agenda, closed session agenda, superintendent.
Okay.
And, Ms. Romero is very understanding of how educational systems work and closed sessions and meetings.
My concern is that she is naming names, and how did she get that information?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her. She's
that is not
surmising,
public
she may be
knowledge.
surmising things. Superintendent is on here.
The next speaker is Alex Brusaw.
So it appears that Gloria Romero is privy to information that the rest of us don't know, because the rest of us came to this meeting wondering, superintendent, who? What are you guys talking about? Are you guys going to appoint another superintendent based on predetermined notions, based on conversations you've already had? Because we saw that once already with Mr. Velasquez. We know that Mr. Velasquez worked with Rick Ledesma and John Ortega at Montebello School District. This is something that they did not disclose to this board when they hired him. Ms. Erickson asked about, where does this all come from? You guys didn't tell her. You guys wouldn't tell anybody anything at all. Yet again, we are here with a lack of information about your superintendent appointment. We have a lack of information. It appears Ms. Romero doesn't. So why don't you guys ask her where she got that information? You know what? I'll do that. I'll amend my lawsuit for additional Brown Act violations. And I will ask her where she got that information, because it looks like, yet again, you guys are coming to predetermined conclusions about what is going on with our school district without stakeholder input, without teacher union input, without parental input. You guys say that you're parental champions, but you are not even seeking parental input about who our superintendent is going to be. Instead, you're coordinating with other members of the community behind closed doors and making determinations about what's going to happen. Just like you did with the Parental Bill of Rights. There was additional information on social media that you guys met with parents. But when I submitted a Public Records Act request for your correspondence with those parents, you hid behind privilege yet again. Lack of transparency, and that's why we're having a recall. www.ousdrecall.com. You're gone. You're gone. Thank you.
Jenny Sloan is next, and then on deck is Dr. Charles Henton.
I'm Jenny Sloan. I'm a parent of kids in the district, and I wrote this speech earlier, and the first sentence in it is, we have no idea if you are re-upping your appointment of Ernie Gonzalez, et cetera, et cetera. Well, apparently, some people know. So much for the Brown Act, so much for closed sessions, so much for anything. It's amazing. Every time we show up, it's like, surprise, something new, and I want to give my speech, but too bad because this whole crazy other thing is happening. Seriously, it's ridiculous. But anyway, we had no idea what was going on today. It doesn't say acting superintendent, so I don't think it has to do with Mr. Gonzalez, but it just says superintendent, so we don't know what to talk about. So I'm just going to talk about the fact that no matter what you vote on today or do today, you have wasted half a year doing nothing about it. You have failed to hire a reputable agency to find a qualified candidate. You have blown taxpayer dollars on your friend who lives in Idaho to pretend to do the job, etc., etc. The only reason this is on the agenda today is because you fired our superintendent during a surprise meeting during winter break when everyone was on vacation. You didn't give any cause. You didn't allow for any debate. And clearly, you had it planned among 4 of you, which is illegal. No matter what Spitzer wants to say, I don't care what your politics are. They are abusing their positions. We have not forgotten this. We are going to recall you. Sign the petition. Go to our website. We'll tell you where we're going to be. I've talked to so many people this week who didn't even know this is happening, and they are shocked.
Dr. Charles Henton. And on deck is Soren Williams.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Dr. Charles Heaton, and I am the new superintendent for Explore Public Schools, our network of charter schools here in Orange. I'm here tonight to say that I am looking forward to whomever the board appoints as the next superintendent, and I look forward to working with the board and the new superintendent. Thank you.
Soren Williams. On deck is Kelly Felton.
Hello again, board. I'm a parent of children at OUSD. I'd like to talk about the superintendent vote today. Remember when this board majority fired our great superintendent in January with no cause? Yeah, that cost us about $500,000. Remember when the board majority hired John Ortega's buddy as a temporary replacement, flying him in from Idaho for 5 weeks and costing us about 70 grand? That was an ugly mess. Remember when the board majority started to look for a superintendent, but then just stopped? So my question is, how do we have a superintendent vote today without any proper search? Is it somebody new, or is it just extending the acting superintendent's contract? If it's somebody new, how did we find them? And when did the entire board know about this candidate? Is it another out-of-state buddy of John's? If it is Ernie, I hope you got a good contract, and I hope you can stem the tide of all of our teachers and principals leaving. The chaos in this district is pretty crazy, and the lack of transparency and continued chaos is why I keep gathering signatures to recall Rick Ledesma and Madison Minor.
On deck is Michelle Weisenberg.
Hi, everybody. Tonight I'm here to support the board's decision on the new superintendent. I did support your decision to fire the last superintendent based on decisions that only you knew. We all would like to know decisions and reasons why you do things, but we understand the information is limited. Your decisions here help operate and reflect the mission of the district so that all children have exposure to positive character lessons and experience used to help and shape their successful futures. We appreciate your hard work on this, and we look forward to your decision tonight.
And on deck is Rosa Otero.
Hi, I'm Michelle Weisenberg. I'm a homeowner, a taxpayer, and I have 3 children who went through from K through 12 in this district. First, I'm very curious how Gloria Romero has information that the rest of us don't, that is supposed to be apparently closed session and private, so that'll be interesting to find out in a lawsuit. I came to talk about appointing the superintendent because I don't know who it is, and I'm concerned about the lack of transparency. All it says is superintendent 1. That's it. There's no transparency whatsoever. We've had nothing but chaos since January 5th. Your disaster of an interim superintendent cost us $70,000, the annual salary of a teacher. We could have hired a teacher for that. We've lost over 25% of our principals to neighboring districts or retiring early. We've got other staff that's fleeing and following these principals because they don't like the chaos. How are we going to attract quality people to fill these positions before school starts on August 16th? Now we're appointing somebody apparently, not sure, it was very vague, but without any input from community or staff. That doesn't seem very transparent to me, and what you've had a problem with all along is transparency, but it looks like it's only lack of transparency for some, but not all. So that is disturbing. And I want to remind Mrs. Cohn over here that there is no secret reason that the board can't tell us about why they fired the superintendent. If they had a reason, they would have said so, and the district wouldn't have had to pay out $500,000. $500,000. If it was a secret, then they would have kept her on till June and saved us the money. But they didn't, and they had no reason, and you can keep telling people that, oh, they know it in secret, but there is no secret. They didn't have a reason. They cost us $500,000. How many teachers would that be?
On deck is Cecilia Iglesias.
Hi, my name is Rosa Otero. I'm here, a resident here in Orange, and I'm speaking about the superintendent. Do you guys remember I was here? I was the first one, January 6th, I believe, when you guys fired Gomery Hansen. Yeah, that's right, that was me. So I said we needed change, and the whole community voted on change, which is why we have a new elected board member. That's the whole reason why we had that. We wanted change, and now we want change again. I was here back again. I personally, because of my own opinion, because of no other Brown Act violation, I just agreed that I thought Craig Abercrombie previously, when he might have taken up position, he might have been interested. Nobody told me about it, none of the board, no violations. I simply, suggested it. I'm now suggesting that we have Mr. Gonzalez, because not only is he Hispanic, we have a 60% here in the community of Hispanics. We need to have someone to relate to us culturally and educationally. There was a term that was called for Gomery Hansen. We used to call her the Ice Queen. And why was this? From parents. Because she ignored many of the complaints. That's right, I personally have a parent teacher. I have a parent who had complaints about a teacher because they were ignoring the IEP for their child. Well, guess what? They spoke with Gomery Hansen, and she ignored them. She ignored them on numerous occasions. Why do these radical activists over here in the back want to recall this board? Is because we're actually creating positive change, which we in the district, we want a Latino, we want somebody who relates to the community, someone that's going to create the change. That I don't personally know Mr. Gonzalez, but he introduced himself to me, and I'm a parent, here in the community, and for someone to reach out to me, it shows at least they take an interest in our community. So again, we want some change, we want some positive change, and someone to care about our children, not an ice queen that doesn't care about our kids.
On deck is Blanca Avila.
Good afternoon, board members, President Ledesma, Superintendent, and members of the public. My name is Cecilia Iglesias. I'm here as a community leader here in Orange County, and also a leader here with parents in Orange Unified School District. I just want to, first of all, just thank our current superintendent, Mr. Gonzalez, for being very open to dialogue with our community. So I just want to thank you for your service, and for the board, for you all to, we don't know who the superintendent you have chosen to appoint, but one ask from our Latino community is that you guys consider a strong candidate that has Latino roots, someone who's going to be able to connect with the community. It would be nice if it was Mr. Gonzalez, if he did apply, but if he didn't apply, just take into consideration someone who is a Latino and someone who will be able to communicate with our Latino family, especially on the west end of the district. They're the ones that really are looking for someone to look up to, especially our Latino kids, someone to look up to, someone who is Latino, someone that they can relate to. So whoever it is that you guys decide to appoint today, just know that we will be working with them and we are going to be collaborating with them. But if we wanted to have a wish list, it could be a Latino, someone who's a Latino candidate. Thank you.
On deck, okay. Yes, and then on deck is Mike Tardif.
Thank you. Mi nombre es Blanca Ávila. Muchas gracias por estaros escuchando. He estado escuchando todo lo que se está hablando acá, pero yo personalmente vengo a dar las gracias al superintendente.
Espérame, señora, va a venir alguien para interpretar.
Ok, gracias. Ok, muy buenas tardes a todos. Gracias por escucharme y darme la oportunidad de expresarme en esta tarde.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and express myself this afternoon.
Mi nombre es Blanca Ávila, líder comunitaria aquí en la ciudad y pues también con los padres de familia.
My name is Blanca Ávila. I'm a community leader in the community here and a parent.
Hoy lo que vengo simplemente a explicar y a decir que estamos muy contentas nosotras como madres latinas hispanas tener un superintendente que nos ha estado escuchando, nos ha estado apoyando, nos sentimos muy comprendidas, estamos felices de estar trabajando en este momento con él y pues estamos nosotros apoyando la decisión que ustedes tomen.
I'm here today to thank you all for having a superintendent that is of Latin background here. And we are here as a group to support the decision if you decide to appoint Mr. Gonzalez.
Esto va a ayudar muchísimo a nosotras, las madres de familia, ya que están nuestros niños, están, pues obviamente nuestros estudiantes están esperando precisamente de que esto continúe así como está en este momento. Gracias, superintendente, por estarnos apoyando.
So this decision will benefit us and our children. We are really looking forward to have somebody that is listening to us the same way that Mr. Gonzalez is. We are really happy having him here with us.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Mike Tardif, and then Jessica Nettles is the last speaker for 2B.
Good evening, trustees. My name is Mike Tardif, resident of Orange County. I'm here to support whatever decision that you come out with, because I think it's important that we have direction and more permanent direction for the school district. So thank you very much.
We also have a comment card for 2C and 2D, and both of them are Alex Broussard. Okay, so Jessica Nettles and then Alex Broussard.
So I had something pre-written, and I want to go with it is about the superintendent. I was not privy to the fact that we were going to have a discussion with somebody here. People that you apparently know are privy to this. That's a whole other topic. It's not about having a Hispanic person on the helm. No es porque queremos una persona que no quiere de las personas que hablan español. Si quieres más información, eso es otra cosa. I am. Excuse me? Excuse me? Okay. I am angry about the chaos you continue to cause. I'm a taxpayer, a parent of 2 children in the school district, and I'm really upset about so much lack of leadership we have now. The chaos that you've caused has caused some dramatic results. A teacher in our school had to go on indefinite leave in October. During that winter break, while a special meeting was called to fire Dr. Hansen with no just cause and bring on your person, the long-term substitute that we had couldn't stay on. So we had 4 teachers for my one. This is a direct thing. This is simply the straight thing that happened. We lost that teacher. Turns out it was because he was under the FBI. You have not reached out to any of us parents who were a part of that. None of the teachers. You guys have not spoken to us about the situation. Even when the news came out, you've continued not. You've worried more about the superintendent. As a parent, I feel you have failed me. You have failed my child who is in therapy. I can tell you not they spoke. I'm speaking. You have hurt my child. You are hurting us by your chaos. So when you go back and make that decision you've already made and have been paid to make, please be aware this is the face of a family that suffered at your hands.
Well, we've got Alex Broussard.
Alex Broussard.
Yeah, excuse me. Hold on, Mr. Broussard.
Yeah, no, I understand the disturbance of somebody being called a racist while they're at the podium.
And videotaping inappropriately. when you're remember, let me remind everyone, when you're videotaping, you need to be at your seat.
How about an admonition for the person who just made an attack from the crowd to the dais?
What? I don't know, Mr. Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez, this gentleman over here with the tripod, is that acceptable?
Yeah, he's in the area that's been designated for that.
Okay. Mr. Broussard?
Yeah, so I'm here to talk about potential litigation that this board is facing. I'm going to start by talking about the lack of Form 700 that has been submitted by Angie Rumsey and John Ortega. Form 700 details potential conflicts of interest, and it's a required filing. I told you guys about that before. You haven't done it. You're facing potential litigation. Your ongoing violations of open meeting laws. I think we just saw one just now. The conflict of interest between Rick Ledesma, John Ortega, and Mr. Velasquez, who they just hired as a superintendent, without disclosing any of the history that the three of them had. Again, you're putting yourselves open to litigation. We have a discrimination lawsuit that the district is facing. Hold on, pause for a second, please. This was at 2 minutes. This is a 3-minute topic.
Yes, you got to give him another 2 minutes.
And the 15 seconds that just ran down.
Hold on, can you switch it to 2 minutes? Because he had 2 minutes left. Oh, okay. So if you just switch it right now to 2 minutes. There you go.
Okay, so potential litigation that this board is facing. Well, we have First Amendment issues with the stacking of comments by this board majority when they switched from item 17, I believe it was, to 8, and had all of their friendlies start signing up early when they knew that they were going to put in a policy of taking comment cards by time that they had not done before. I believe Ms. Erickson pointed out earlier that they have changed the practice of this board and limiting speakers to 2 minutes or 1 minute. That's never happened before. You guys are facing potential litigation. Now, are you guys all done? Okay. So there's also the non-disclosure of records that you guys are obligated to disclose pursuant to the California Public Records Act request. You've been asked over and over and over again for support regarding why the Parental Bill of Rights was not taken to parents for comment or anything. Apparently there were parental comments that you guys conducted behind closed doors. And then you refused to turn over any of that because of some privilege that you're hiding behind illegally. Now, the lack of transparency from this board is creating additional litigation exposure. And you know that because you have increased legal fees time and time and time again. The legal budget for next school year is way more than the legal budget for the last school year. That's because you guys know what you're doing and you're gearing up for litigation that you know is coming. And instead of saying what's going on, you're doing things behind closed doors. You're doing things illegally. You're doing things with a lack of transparency. And that's why instead of coming to open session and commenting, I'm going out to gather signatures to recall you, Rick, and you, Madison. Thank you.
Okay, going to adjourn to closed session at 6:04. Hello, attention everyone. There's a cell phone left in the bathroom. Which bathroom? Women's bathroom? That's what it looks like. Okay. All right, I'll show it off again later. Okay, here we go. So, call this meeting to order, regular session, 7 p.m. of the Orange Unified School District Board of Education. Call the meeting to order at 7:20. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, here we go. Report, item 3B, report of closed session decisions. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Board of Education is pleased to announce the following appointments. Linda Mannion to the position of Assistant Principal Elementary School. Crystal Meyer and Corey Fernandez to the position of Assistant Principal Middle School. Mark McLaughlin to the position of Coordinator, Student and Community Services. Demetrio Nava to the position of Principal, Continuation High School. David Mannon to the position of Principal, Middle School. Michael Higgins to the position of Principal, Elementary School, and Dustin Saxton to the position of Acting Principal, Elementary School. The vote was 7-0. In a separate vote, Craig Abercrombie was appointed to the position of Executive Director, Secondary Education, effective at a future date upon conclusion of his service as Acting Assistant Superintendent, Educational Services. The vote was 4-3.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gonzalez? Yes.
I was advised by Mr.
Covert.
That I'm to read the vote on the 4-3. Okay. So the vote was Ortega, yes. Erickson, no. Rumsey, yes. Ledesma, yes. Yamasaki, no. Minor, yes. Page, no.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Before I take a motion to adopt the agenda, I would like to pull item 8B, update on selection of executive search firm for hiring a new superintendent. Can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
With that change. Moved by Mr. Ortega.
I'll
Is there a
second.
Second by Trustee Minor. Is there a public comment on adoption of the agenda?
Is there a public comment and everything?
Okay, we're at discussion, so.
Okay, so there is a public comment on the adoption of the agenda.
Okay.
3C. Apologies. Darshan Smolodin.
Good evening, Board. Superintendent Gonzalez. As you adopt this month's agenda, and it's a heavy agenda once again, maybe we need more meetings. Rick, I'm going to remind you what your priorities should be. Our kids, and also people who start their speeches with, I'm a parent in OUSD. Not people who can't even get the name of our district correct. Last month, you ran out of time and illegally likely spent taxpayer money without public input. I understand that it was 11:59 and you had to get it done, but just prior to that, we had to sit through an informational presentation on a charter school that isn't actually part of our district. They're run through the county. You have no jurisdiction over them. Why are they presenting? You chose an outside charter school over the parents and the taxpayers of Orange Unified. And, please run your meetings better, and for the love of God, stop inviting outsiders to our meetings.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Adoption of the agenda. Item 4A, Superintendent's Report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to take an opportunity to thank all of the staff who are working diligently during these summer months to prepare for the 2023-24 school year. Everybody's kind of taking turns at this point, some enjoying a much-needed break and recharging their batteries during this time, while others are busy hard work finishing up summer school, participating in voluntary professional development opportunities, hiring new employees, completing facility improvement projects, performing maintenance on our fleet vehicles, and deep cleaning classrooms, and much, much more. So thank you for preparing us to be ready for the 23-24 school year. Thank you.
Okay. Board President's report. Board President's report is, I feel compelled to clear up a few things. We have an attorney here. That's our school counsel. He oversees everything that we do. He oversees our agenda prepping. He oversees these meetings, and he is the one that has guided us from a legal standpoint. So anything and everything that we have done has all been within legal, the legal rights of how to run a board meeting, how to run a board, how to run a district, how to set up agendas. And so all this talk about this is illegal, that's illegal, this is illegal, that's all just a lot of, I would say, political fodder. So I just want to clarify that if there was ever a situation where there was actually something not within the legal realm of running a school board or a district or anything, our counsel would immediately come to our defense and let us know clarify what we should be doing. So please refrain from throwing allegations, but I also understand where it's coming from. It's all quite a political action. Thank you.
Can I comment on what you just said? Because I
Sure.
want the opinion of our attorney.
It might be illegal because this is Board President's report.
I would like the opinion of the attorney whether what your comments making it political is appropriate for this time.
No, this is my time to speak.
Yeah, but it says
This is my time to speak and my time to say.
and acknowledgements. And
it's an
I
observation.
agree, if you want to announce that, we have an attorney present, that's okay.
And it has to do with the
But you
community.
made some comments regarding, that this is political, and to me, that doesn't fall under this category.
Well, it falls under what my observation is as far as what's happening to this community. This is community comment time. Okay?
Well, can I ask Ernie can I ask Spencer whether this was an
Mr.
appropriate
Covert?
time?
Mr. Covert, can you please clarify this?
Since he's here, I want to utilize his expertise.
Sure.
Good evening, members of the Board of Trustees and members of the public. And what Mr. Ledesma said was entirely appropriate. And I would also like to say that I spent an extensive amount of time with the superintendent's office as well as Mr. Ledesma preparing the agenda items so that they do comply with the Brown Act. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Covert. Okay, item 4C, board recognition of students, staff, and community. Would anyone like to speak?
I would.
Trustee Minor?
So I had the pleasure of going to my alma mater, to Alameda High School, and I met with the band director, who's wonderful, and I also got to meet with the the booster board president, and got some really good direction on what they need as a band, and I'm excited to work alongside them and our district office to try and get them what they need for their students. They have a lot of students that want to join band, which is a good problem to have, but the problem is they actually had to turn away some students last year because they didn't have instruments. So I guess this is a selfish plug for the band. If you have any instruments or know of anyone that might have instruments, they're in a lot of need. And so that was all on that. And then Orange Public Library Foundation, they have some incredible opportunities for OUSD students. If you have time, go onto their website, and there's really cool things that you can take your kids to, and I highly encourage it. Thank you.
I'd like to make a quick comment.
Trustee Yamasaki?
Thank you. I'd like to thank the parents of Canyon High School Foundation and Villa Park for working hard over the summer to raise monies and working in the fireworks booth. I don't know if you know, but they take their time out and they work in this heat and they raise much needed funds for our booster clubs. And so I saw all the pictures out there, and I want to give them a shout out to thank them for their efforts, because from my understanding, they raise quite a bit of money. Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee Page?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So over summer, it may seem that things slow down, but in actuality, things get really busy at the district office. I had the pleasure of visiting 2 summer school programs at Sycamore and Prospect. And this year for our summer school, what happened was our teachers and our principals and our curriculum teams worked together to create an academic plan based on the students who were attending, which is very different compared to what we've done in the past. So the summer school teaching was really intentional and focused and on the students who were attending those sites. And we also have other summer school programs offered by CARES. Our OUSD students can attend classes for free at SEC and at SAC. And we also have programs available at Irvine Chinese School. And this last week was the completion of a 5-week Chinese summer school program offered by Global Culture Education Foundation at Sarah Villa Middle School. So in addition to our awesome teams and our students being busy over the summer, there's a lot of preparations happening within our district as well. This morning I had the opportunity to go visit nutrition services, and they're continuing to feed many of our students over the summer, mainly through the El Medina Library. And at transportation, they're detailing buses and working on maintenance and making sure everything is up to speed for the beginning of school. And Superintendent Gonzalez also joined me, and I was able to start washing some buses with our team as well to get those ready. And in addition to that, I just also want to thank our facilities team for the ongoing construction and fixing 30 plus campuses over the summer, including some unscheduled maintenance that has happened, like leaky roofs, and some of our buildings are kind of falling apart. So I'm thankful for our team really working hard and overtime to get all of getting everything ready for the first day of school.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's move on. Item 4A and 4B, they're both approval of minutes.
Five.
Oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, approval of minutes, item 5A and 5B, excuse me.
I'll move it.
Do we want to take them both at the same time?
Sure.
Okay, can I have a motion?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay, so approval of minutes of A and B, the June 1st meeting and the June 20th meeting. Any discussion? All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, Trustee Rumsey, public comment,
So I'll read the guidelines.
please.
Members of the audience may address the Board of Education on agenda items during consideration of that item. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum, that would be the phone that someone's missing, by the way.
Oh, someone's doing a lost.
Yeah, they're trying to find their phone. Obviously, it's no one in this room. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes per topic. Persons wishing to speak should submit a public comment card. Do you want to give it to maybe a security person?
It might be
or-
outside. Or give it to Greg Smith.
That's the watch.
Prior to the meeting, public comment on not agenda items that are within the board's subject matter jurisdiction will occur after consideration of action items, information discussion items, and consent items. We have 9 comments for 7A.
So we're not at 7A yet. Were there any non-agenda items? Any non-agenda cards?
Yeah.
I mean, that can go in 17, but we could take some now.
We have 20 non-agenda items, comments, which is number 17.
Okay. Okay, everyone take some now. I'm talking with the board members here. Are we take some now or wait till get to item 17?
With 20 non-agenda cards, we're looking at 1 minute per comment.
Right.
To keep it at 20 minutes.
So we'll wait till 17, is that okay? All right. So let's move forward, item 7A.
All right, we have 9
So that would
minutes
be
per
2 minutes per?
puts us at 18 minutes.
Okay,
Are we good?
yes.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
Senator Gloria Romero.
Who's on deck, James?
On deck is Dr. Charles Heaton.
Good evening, Board. I'm here to ask for your support for approval of the license agreement with Explore Academy. I think it's very important to note that Orange County has major history. The precursor to Brown versus Board of Education was right here in Orange County, right up the road in Westminster, and that was with Mendes versus Westminster. And that was brought about by mostly Latino parents who basically came forward to say, we want equity in terms of the educational opportunities that our children have. In Orange County, we have been working with families, we've been working with parents, we've been working with children, and we had an opportunity to work with your staff. We've had very good negotiations when we submitted the in lieu of Prop 39. A license agreement was sent forth to us. We have met all of the terms of that proposal. We ask for your approval tonight. We are ready to serve the families. We are ready to close the achievement gaps that are noted here in Orange, as they are in many districts in California. We've got parents that have signed up. We have children that are ready to go. We have a distinguished team of educators. And most importantly, as I indicated when I came up before, we've had a good working relationship with your interim superintendent, with your staff, and in partnership came forth with this license agreement that we believe will meet the needs of the families and the children of Orange. So I ask for your approval on this, and we look forward to being a partner with Orange Unified in providing a qualified and high quality, high caliber school of choice that the parents themselves have requested. So I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
And on deck is Soren Williams and Kelly Felton.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm coming before you on behalf of Explore K-12 Academy, asking for your support in approving our lease license. We've satisfied the requirements. I'm also pleased to report we've had a positive working relationship with the district office in satisfying the requirements, and we are at a place where we are ready to launch. So thank you again for your consideration.
Hello again, board. I'd just like to point out a few things about Explore Academy. The Orange County Education Department did not recommend giving Explore Academy permission to operate in the Orange County area, but the OC board majority approved it anyway. The OC board majority, of course, is funded and supported by the same people that fund and support our board majority that we're trying to recall right now. They have a vested interest in tearing down public education with these questionable charters that are run by their friends and family and associates from Cal Policy Center. Instead of developing and using existing sites and hiring more teachers and improving things in OUSD, they would rather rent space to a charter that will probably serve students mostly from outside of our district. So my question is, will Explore Academy reflect the demographics of Orange County, or will they be like OCCA? When will this board majority prioritize the students of OUSD over the partisan sugar daddies?
So on deck, after Kelly Felton, is Mike Tardif, and then Rosa Otero.
Hi, everybody. I'm here to speak tonight in support of the Explore Academy that's going to open soon. We are looking for your support. We've dotted all our I's and crossed all our T's on the license agreement. We're looking to lease the property with you guys. Explore Academy is an innovative educational model built on the principles of strong core education and college readiness. It will be serving the students of OUSD. It was approved by OUSD, and it does incorporate all the mission statements of our district for our students. We're looking to bridge the gap of educational access and serve our students of our community. We're really excited about getting this started, and we're looking for your support tonight. Thank you.
Hi. Good evening, trustees. My name is Mike Tardif. I happen to be a board member of Explore Academy. We're very excited for the possibility of working with the Orange Unified School District. And I was, just a note, I was speaking to a co-board member of Explore Academy just this evening, and she mentioned to me that they were, we have a number of parents and students that are interested in our school, and we were having a meeting with them just this past Saturday, and she happened to mention to me that there was a question over here about the about basically the racial makeup of what this school would be. I can tell you that this co-board member of mine mentioned that all the parents there were speaking Spanish. So if you have any question about that, this school will be serving lower income Spanish-speaking families. Thank you.
On deck is Blanca Avila.
Hi, I'm here in regards to the license of the Explore Academy. I'm the one who've helped to advocate for the school. I'm the one who also, as a parent, have met with the district as well as the board staff at Explore. There is no outside. There is no deep pockets. There is no dark money. We have one public grant, a public grant from California. That's it. It's not from Policy Center. Definitely not for sure. Not anything that is funding us. We only have one public grant that is allocated to us. And actually, I'm the one that's there every day. That's why I've been so busy, because every day we're either canvassing, I'm registering parents, and porque hablo español, I'm the one that's been registering the parents. I can tell you it is predominantly Hispanic and Spanish speaking. These are kids who are 1, 2, 3 years behind. So not only because of the pandemic, which I understand, we had a pandemic, but some of these kids were already behind. And so now they're going to get not only from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock, but they're going to get after school tutoring, one-on-one, 25 kids in the classroom. What other school in our district can say that? And we want actual school choice. It's still public funds. It doesn't mean that it's private school. It's public funds completely. There is no outside money. There is no outside funds. We have one grant that we have to use it wisely, and that's it. And it is going to serve our community. We're only going here door to door and speaking with parents that do speak Spanish speaking because we want to help that community. I feel very passionate. I'm not racist. I love all people from different, obviously I'm very talkative, so I'm friendly with everybody, but I know that my community especially, they don't have a chance. They don't have private school tutoring that you can do for your kid. They don't have other, Kumon, whatever other, they don't have that kind of money. So all we have is a public school, and even though it's 25 kids per classroom, those kids are going to get a fast track to get college prep to be able to have some kind of opportunity. So thank you.
Blanca Avila. All right, Maria G. Michelle Loveland. For this item, yes.
Good evening, school board members. I'm here in support of the public charter school. In the first year of operation of Orange County Classical Academy, 50% of OCCA's English learners achieved English language proficiency by the end of the first year. The rest of them hit their mark the very next year. Compare that to the broader Orange Unified School District, where just 15% met the same standard. Today, the Classical Academy is the highest performing school in Orange Unified. School choice and quality of education matter, and it's important that we have healthy competition and raise the standards for all children, including the underserved and the Black and brown populations, and especially special ed as well. The Classical Academy is a free public charter school, so this is still public education. So public education does matter, and it comes in various forms. Okay? It admits students non-selectively based on a lottery, but while our students are drawn from the same student population as all union-run schools, we follow two unique educational practices. We teach structured phonics and content knowledge. This is science-based.
She's explaining.
Because 30 years of research has shown reading comprehension is ultimately a function of subject matter mastery. A student who possesses prior knowledge about a subject will demonstrate greater understanding when reading texts about that topic, even against readers otherwise more advanced and with greater aptitude. To teach a subject well is also to teach how to read that subject well, and the curriculum that is used, core knowledge, has been recognized in countless studies over 3 decades as the foremost curriculum in achieving just these outcomes. They attempt to try to collaborate with Orange Unified to share the best practices. These are the best practices, and our numbers show it. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was the last card. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, to present on this item, we have Ms. Davina Harden.
Can you speak up because people seem to be talking over what you just said?
I apologize. We're ready to take care of this, this agenda item, and Ms. Harden will be presenting on it.
Good morning, Board President, trustees, administration, and the public. Before you tonight is for consideration as a license agreement among Explore Academy, its governing corporation Explore K-12, and the district for the use of 6 classroom spaces, restrooms, designated parking lot spaces, and blacktop and play spaces at the district's Peralta site that had previously been utilized by Olive Crest, who recently vacated the premises. The term of the proposed Explore license agreement is for 2 years for the 23-24 and 24-25 school years, with Explore agreeing to waive its Proposition 39 rights to request district facilities for the 24-25 school year. Given that Peralta is a surplus property, the license agreement with Explore is revocable at any time by either party. Explore's board approved the license agreement at its July 11th meeting, and the license agreement has been executed by Explore's board president, John Fan, on that same date.
All good?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? Trustee Yamasaki?
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to clarify, Explore Academy received their approval from Orange County Board of Education, correct?
Correct.
Okay, one of our speakers said it was approved by OUSD, and I want to make sure that was not correct information.
Correct. It's a countywide charter that was submitted
Okay.
directly to the County Board of Education.
So a countywide charter can choose to go anywhere in Orange County?
Yes, but the locations have to be approved by the county board.
Okay, so that the county board approved the location to be in Orange Unified area, or?
Yes.
Or do they approve later or ahead
They
of
approve
time?
the districts where the charter can operate.
Okay. And
And
is
they
that
appro- they
done
have
during
appro-
the time of their approval, or is it something
So-
they go back to?
When they submit the charter, they have to provide notice to the districts where they initially plan to operate and then the county board has to approve those locations. In this case, Orange was not one of the original locations, but
Okay.
subsequently they submitted a request for material revision and added Orange Unified and had it approved by the county board.
Okay, so when did they add Orange Unified?
I'm sorry, I don't remember, maybe a year ago, but I might
Okay.
not be getting that correct.
A year ago. Okay, sorry, I have to write my notes. So typically when a charter school comes to the board, get approval at Orange County Board of Education and they want to go into a district, they have to, they do a Prop 39 request. Is that one of the avenues?
So if a charter school is going to be operating in a district and projects having at least 80 in-district students, they can seek under Prop 39 to get facilities from the school district to house the in-district students, which is probably the most common way that a charter school would get school district facilities.
And do we know how many in-district students that are going to be, do we have that information yet, or?
Not to my knowledge,
Okay.
not specific numbers.
So we are not under any obligation to provide them properties because, first of all, they didn't do it under Prop 39. This is something that an entity can just come in and say, I would like to lease from you or license
Yes,
in this situation.
In this case, they came without submitting a Prop 39 request or any other legal obligation. They just made a request to try and use some district facilities.
Okay, so we as a district have no obligation to honor their requests, correct?
At this time, we do not.
Okay. So should they get 80 OUSD students in the future, they can come back to us with a Prop 39 request?
If they project to have at least 80 in-district students in any year, they can, by November 1st of the year preceding, submit a request pursuant to Prop 39.
So it's November of the preceding year. So if they apply this November and they have to show that they have interest from 80 OUSD students, then they won't start until 2024.
The facility that would be under consideration under Prop 39 if they submitted in this November 1st would be for 24-25.
Okay, I want to make that clear. As far as the lease, the licensing agreement, can you tell us what the difference is between licensing versus leasing?
So a license agreement is not an interest in property. It's just a license to use property, but they don't have any ownership or rights that a tenant would have. And fundamental to that is the ability to terminate the agreement at any time.
So it's basically month to month?
It is for a set term, but that's the outside term, and it can be terminated by either party at any time.
Okay. I might have more questions, but if anybody else wants to ask in the meantime.
Sure.
Action.
Thank you. I want to clarify a few things because the way it sounded when speakers came up was that there was some sort of partnership between Orange Unified as far as the educational programming went. I want to clarify, this is not a charter school approval of any sort, correct?
Correct. This is only an agreement for them to use a portion of the Peralta site.
So this is a straight up lease agreement. We have no ability to oversee their school, or we have no oversight over them at all, correct?
It's not a lease agreement, a license
I'm
agreement.
sorry, license agreement. I apologize.
Yes, so it's just a license agreement, and so the entire agreement revolves entirely around the use and payment for facilities.
So it's basically just like any other vendor, a commercial vendor. If a commercial vendor wanted to come in and use our property, it would be the same sort of license agreement like we have with the golf course there.
Yes, and this is also similar to Olive Crest, who just used the facility.
Okay. So, and then has Explore Academy, I know they were approved by the Orange County Board of Education. Was that 2 years ago?
I'm sorry, I don't remember the date.
Okay. Have they operated anywhere yet?
I do not believe that they have opened any sites under this charter.
Okay, so this is the first place that they'll be physically operating.
Correct.
In Orange County. Okay. And they talked about funding and a grant funding, but it's not really a grant, correct? They are funded through ADA.
So regular charter school funding is effectively ADA. It's LCFF funding,
Okay.
but there are grants available to charters, and I am not familiar with what grants they may or may not have secured.
Okay, but generally speaking, when a student signs up there, the state basically indirectly, but directly pays the charter school for that student the same basically ADA amount that, for instance, Orange Unified would get for a second grader. That money now goes to the charter school.
Yes, the funding follows the student.
So if we have 10 students that leave Orange Unified to go to Explore Academy, the funding for those students goes out of Orange Unified and into Explore Academy, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For this particular property, are we spending money to improve the property?
I believe are spending a little bit of money. I believe primarily what we would have to do to clean up after any tenant leaves, because Olive Crest is leaving, but I'm not the expert on the facilities work, so I don't know if Magda is here that might be able to answer that more.
Yes, I believe our facilities team has been there and doing mostly cleanup, but also some minimal paint and other things to get the property ready as if they would for anybody else that would come in.
Okay, so any other commercial renter, we clean it up, we make sure that it's habitable, and it's all of those things. Okay.
And just the license agreement does specify that it is as is when we turn it over to them.
Okay. How much rent did Olive Crest pay per month? Or I'm not sure if it's calculated per month or is it annually?
I do not have that number in front of me, but for this agreement, we used the same per square foot rate that we use for Tomorrow's Leadership Collaborative, which is the other charter school that we have a similar style agreement with for use of facilities.
Okay, so even though TLC went through the whole Prop 39 process and we negotiated with them and we did everything sort of by the book as far as charter schools go, we didn't go through that process here, correct?
Correct.
But we're still giving them the same rate as if we had negotiated through Proposition 39 with a charter school.
We are using that same rate.
And that monthly rate that they're paying is substantially less than what Olive Crest, our previous tenant, was paying.
I believe so, but I am not sure what rate was used for Olive Crest.
Could we get an actual difference possibly?
I apologize, I didn't bring the Olive Crest agreement.
I think we have Ms. Balsara here, and she may be able to give some more details on some numbers.
So the question is, what rate did Olive Crest pay? Do you know? Not TLC.
No, I don't recall right now, but I can gather that information and get back to you.
We don't have any idea how much we're going to approve an agreement, and we don't have any idea how much they're going to pay?
We know how much. Are you asking how much this school's Explore? I thought you were asking how much Olive
Well, I'm
Crest is
asking both. I want to know what the difference is between what we were getting for this property before and what we're going to be getting now.
My concern is with the word substantial. I would rather have an exact number than.
I can look for that information.
We can get that another time.
Can we get that before we vote?
I'll call a colleague and,
That'd be
I mean,
great.
I don't have the agreement.
You can phone
in
a
front
friend?
of me. Yeah, I can phone a friend.
Awesome.
I can tell you what TLC is going to be paying though. Which we just. I'm sorry, she was.
So isn't the question the difference between what Olive Crest was paying and what Explore would pay?
I'm sorry, I meant to say, I can tell you what Explore is going to be paying.
Why don't you
Or
tell
do
us what Explorer is going to be paying, and then we'll get the number for what Olive Crest was paying.
They will be, For the 23-24 school year, they will be paying $74,476.82 over the course of the year, and for the second year, they will be paying $84,514.
Okay. And we don't know how many students they're going to have, and really we don't have any control over that because this is just a property lease agreement, right?
Yes, so it's 6 classrooms.
Okay, so it could be 6 classrooms of former Orange Unified students, or it could be 6 classrooms from anywhere else?
Anywhere in Orange County or the state of California.
Okay, so anybody from the state of California can come in. Okay, and again, that funding, if we are sending Orange Unified students to, if they choose to go to this Explore Academy, that would be us losing our enrollment and the funding that goes along with that enrollment.
If they are Orange Unified residents that currently attend Orange Unified schools and transfer here, then the funding and the students and the funding will follow.
Okay. Okay. And we don't have any idea how much we're spending on improving the property? Do we not have, we don't have that number?
We've mostly been using staff, but I can try to work with Mr. Niquette in calculating that, but it's been minimal in terms of using internal staff as much as we've
Well,
been
we
able
pay
to.
internal staff, right?
Yes, so
Okay.
we'd have to calculate that in terms of hours spent.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that's it.
But you'll also be, You'll also be buying supplies to improve, right? So it's just
Yeah,
not
correct. There
labor,
may be
but
some
you have to buy
paint
the
or
paint
some,
and the rugs.
carpet repairs or, carpet, so yes.
And
that-
well, how about fencing?
Potentially fencing in the future, and we can also get any cost of any fencing. We've done some landscaping work in the area as well.
But I just want to make clear, this is basically a commercial agreement. This is not a partnership with the school for any educational services.
There are no educational services involved in this agreement.
Okay. So when we say working with us, we're talking about as a lessee and a lessor. I mean, a licensee and a licensor.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Trustee Rumsey?
So just to clarify, regardless of who would be moving into this space at Peralta, at this point, we are not spending any more money on making it look a little nicer just because it's charter.
Yes, that's my understanding from my discussions with Mr. Rivera, that the idea was that this was a as-is, but in terms of how the previous school left it, there were some things that needed to be done.
Okay. And will they pay the same amount regardless of the amount of students they have?
Yes, it's based on space.
Okay. And you answered my question, but I just wanted to reiterate that there is flexibility in terminating or stopping this agreement, possibly month to month, or
At any
let's say at
time.
the end of the school year.
At any time.
At any time. So they can't just stay there, say, settle in and say, listen, we're here now. So
They cannot.
Okay. So far, those are all my questions.
Anyone else? Trustee Minor?
So I was hearing a lot of what sounds like hypothetical. We don't know where these students are coming from. They very well could be homeschool kids that are taking another chance back in the system of public schools. They could be potentially OUSD students, but we don't know, right? Is that true?
Correct.
Okay. And if they are outside students, then technically they're not even taking money from OUSD if they're outside students, correct?
If they're residents of other districts, then that is funding that would have otherwise gone to those other districts.
Right. Okay. And is there another charter school in OUSD that is in lieu of Prop 39?
We have an in lieu of Prop 39 agreement with TLC, and we have an in lieu of Prop 39 agreement with OCCA, and effectively with El Rancho and Santiago as well.
Right. Okay. I think that was all for me.
So
If I can just clarify that, though, the in lieu agreement of Prop 39 went through a Prop 39 process where there's deadlines, there's certain legal requirements that have to be met. They have to show how many OUSD students they have because they have to have at least 80 Orange Unified students or project 80 Orange Unified students before they're entitled to the property, correct?
Yes, the TLC and OCCA agreements went through that back and forth iterative process.
So we are waiving that, basically, in essence, waiving that requirement specifically for Explore Academy.
Prop 39 was simply not implicated for the first year of this agreement, and in this agreement, we have specified that they need to waive any rights that they would have under Prop 39 for the second year.
Okay. And just to clarify, too, well, I see Ms. Bolsaro may have information.
So roughly 16,000 monthly that Olive Crest is paying currently.
16, okay, and you gave me an annual.
You got to
correct?
I can give you a monthly.
74 by,
So for the first year, it's $67.70, and for the second year, it's $7,000.
I'm sorry, okay. So 16,000 is what Olive Crest is paying per month?
Yes.
And this will be between 6,000 and 7,000 per month?
Yes.
Okay, and this is obviously below market price.
well, what market are you talking about? This is a charter school market. I mean, TLC is paying
There's
that
no
amount.
charter school market.
Well, we have
No,
one
there's no charter
in-house.
school market. It's by statute if you go through the proper process.
Not
correct?
necessarily. No, let me ask you. Now, let me ask questions
All
now.
Well, let me
Trustee
just,
Erickson.
if I can just finish.
Please.
Olive Crest was just a regular lease agreement. They were same sort of thing. They were just renting property from us, correct? The same exact classrooms.
They had additional portable classrooms, some of which I believe they own and some of which the district owns that are not part of this agreement. But the footprint, I believe, is the same.
Is the same, okay.
Excuse me, though. Okay, so they were paying 16,000, and they had like 15 classrooms there, right?
I think that there's 7 portables in addition to these 6.
In addition to the 6.
6 portables? No.
In,
So these 6 classrooms, and then I think 7 portables, some of which Olive Crest owns.
for a monthly rate of $16,000.
Yes.
Okay, so they had a much bigger footprint than Explore Academy will be. Please, folks, this is my discussion.
The footprint on the land, my understanding, is the same, but they had additional facilities.
Right, for $16,000 a month.
Yes.
I mean, we could have said, you cannot bring those portables on this site. You can only have the 6 classroom building.
Yes.
We could have said that because
Yes.
it's a licensing agreement. So this is a licensing agreement. So this is an acceptable process as well, would you say?
Under the law? Yes.
Yeah, okay. And our control factor here is we can terminate at any time.
Yes.
So if there's any feedback on what is happening on that campus and or the educational services, we can ask to terminate.
We can terminate with or without cause at any time.
Okay, good. Now, I want to take a minute in here and bring up Ms. Romero and have her clarify what number of students from OUSD has she so far have on her list. I just want to get an idea here, as we're talking so much about whether they have OUSD students or non-OUSD students. Do you have an estimate?
Thank you. At this point, we're doing enrollment. Remember that per the terms of the negotiation with Mr. Rivera, who is on a well-deserved vacation, we were not able to identify the site until the lease, the license was brought forth to the board. They gave us some language that we could say we're considering such. So we cannot tell parents up until hopefully it's approved this evening exactly where this site is located. Having said that, we've been having a great success in talking with parents and enrolling. Already we've had about 70 families. I don't have the breakdown of students this evening.
Are these OUSD families?
I don't have the specific numbers, but the vast majority are Orange Unified. But we also have, because of the border, we have from Santa Ana, there's also Tustin as well that are there. I don't have a complete breakdown. Ultimately, we're going to go up to 150. That's really the maximum that we're looking at for this licensing agreement, is to have it 150. So there will potentially be more. But with this licensing agreement, should it pass this evening, I hope that it will, we then can have the ability to go out and to talk to families who are very excited about being able to come. But tonight, I'd say with about 70 families, I don't have a complete breakdown. I would guess, and I'm pretty good at projecting again to enrollment, that probably the vast majority are within Orange. There are some homeschooling as well. We've been talking to parents who have been doing homeschooling. They're interested in coming back. They like the idea of a charter. There are some others that are coming from other charter schools as well. There are first-year students who have not been enrolled in any public school because we are a TK through K with a very strong reputation for early education. So they have not been enrolled elsewhere, but they are living in Orange, in the city of Orange. So all of those factors we would take into account.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to request a point of order because in our agenda, Ms. Romero was not identified as a speaker. And so was it appropriate? I'd like to get the opinion of our attorney again to find out whether it was appropriate for her to interject and talk about.
There was knowledge that we needed, this board needed, just as much as getting the dollar value and what have you. But Mr. Covert, please.
I just want to make sure that we're operating with full transparency.
Always, always.
Yes, that was appropriate to call on someone. The questions that are being asked are relevant, and obviously it's good to have, people who know what the source material is, and then the board will judge accordingly.
Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other questions, but I will have to say that early on, as this was coming forward, the Explorer Academy, I was definitely interested, and it all stemmed from when we had our test score presentations. And the west side of our district showed, test scores that were lacking, and this is a choice for parents. And I was approached by many OUSD parents on the west side, and as I am on the east side as well. And so I very much am a supporter, and this came to fruition. This is really a call to action. That's why the process was a licensing agreement. This is a call to action for this board to act on the west side where there are no charter schools and there's a great need in terms of educational services and choice for those parents. So understandably,
Can I ask a point of clarification? I'm
yes,
sorry.
Yeah, please. Thank you. I'll pass it. I got one last thing here.
Of course. Sorry.
As far as funding is concerned, the funding should go for the educational success of the student. Bottom line. So I think it's quite selfish to think that we have to not allow parents a choice or not allow such funding to go with the success of that student. Okay. Trustee Erickson?
I just wanted to, excuse me. I wanted to clarify, I wasn't sure, Ms. Romero, you had indicated that you have a great reputation for early childhood education, but I'm a little bit confused because I didn't think Explorer Academy, this school, had opened yet. So I wanted to get clarification on that. I don't know where she went. There she is.
Thank you for the request of clarification. For those of you who don't know me, I am a former senator. I chaired the Senate Education Committee, wrote numerous laws on parent engagement, advocate
Right,
for
but I'm
early-
asking you specifically about Explore Academy that's going to be taking possession of this property. That's the question I'm asking.
Explore Academy is a brand new charter school. So we have not opened the doors yet. So you always go taking a look at the precedent, the history. Here in Orange County, I was the executive director and I ran scholarship prep, which we wrote the grant. We were recognized by the U.S. Department of Education and we received a $12 million grant focused on TK, kindergarten, early education, closing the gaps. If you take a look at those early records of scholarship prep during the time that I ran it, very stellar in terms of moving our kids forward, transitioning children who are English learners to English proficiency. So that's the solid. In the charter school world and in education, we worked with all of our school districts, Anaheim, Santa Ana, et cetera. I have not previously worked with Orange Unified. I'm hoping to be able to do so this evening. But if you talk with those superintendents, take a look at the work we did collaboratively, because I do consider us not in competition, but in partnership and really offering the best quality education that family wants for their child. No one can. So my reputation in early education, laying the groundwork, it is very well established in Orange County.
So what you're saying is that because you are present, this school will succeed? I mean, is that what you're saying?
I think that's uncalled for.
But if I can say that, the culture starts from the top. I mean, people look at you. You are the voices for the Orange Unified School District. There's expectations. So if the school fails, you come after me, because I will put my money where my mouth is. I will put my reputation where the outcome is. So yes, I would not stand in front of anybody and say, approve this school, if I didn't believe that si se puede, that we can do it. So I believe that it will succeed, but we've got a great team of teachers and leaders and families. It's a partnership. So I know this school will succeed.
So you start schools, you open them, and then you go to the next school and you open the next school. Correct? No?
No.
Well, okay, because Anaheim had one of your schools that you started.
I think
we're not
getting
approving
off
this
topic.
charter.
Yeah, I think we're getting off topic here.
And you're right. You're right. We are not talking about charter schools, but we are talking about, Mr. Ledesma, you made a big point of saying that this is about choice and this is about improving schools for our students, but that isn't a known
On the west
factor.
side of Orange Unified School District.
My point
very
is that
specific.
this is not a known quantity, and we are not in charge of anything that has to do with running their
It wasn't
charter school.
it wasn't a known quantity. OCCA was not a known quantity. TLC was not a known quantity.
Well, they were
when Santiago, which I was on the board when approving Santiago as one of the first charter
Those are
schools.
all completely different. We're talking about apples and oranges because
come on now.
This is a lease license agreement.
Of course, if it doesn't fall under your parameters,
Oh my
it's
God,
completely
Mr.
different.
Ledesma, please stop.
I'm sorry.
Okay? This is a
I think we need to take
license
a vote.
agreement
Ledesma?
we're
Ms. Page
approving.
would like to
It is
speak.
Oh, yes.
not a charter school that we're approving. We are approving a license agreement. So the question is this a legitimate commercial contract that we're entering into?
And that's a question you will answer with your vote. So, Trustee Erickson, please allow Trustee Page to speak.
Okay.
She is allowing it. I don't understand.
Okay, so with this license agreement, Ms. Harden, did you write this?
Yes.
Okay. I had a question about number 30. It states no district affiliation or endorsement. For the public, I can read the first couple sentences. It says, charter school shall not imply, indicate, or otherwise suggest that charter schools' use and or any related activities are connected or affiliated with or endorsed, favored, or supported by the district. So it includes like signage, flyers, and different things like that. Is this standard language to be included in any agreement?
In any kind of license or facility use agreement? Yes.
Okay. So even though we've heard tonight that they're in collaboration with our district because they've developed a good relationship with them, that doesn't imply that they can put the district saying that the district approves of this charter and can, like in terms.
No,
for-
they're prohibited by this term from doing that. This is purely a use of facilities agreement.
Okay, so what were to happen if that were to happen? So like legally, what steps?
They would be in breach of the contract, and we can terminate the contract at any time, or we could ask them to cure the breach.
And that can happen
Can you
with any-
clarify could you kind of restate your question and your answer?
Sure.
For me.
So similar to the rest of the agreement, if something were not to follow what's stated and signed in this agreement, then the district has the right to pull the contract.
Okay, thank you.
And I just want to be clear that we can do that whether or not they're in breach.
Oh, okay.
This license
So without
agreement,
cause.
the district can terminate at any time.
Okay, because I was reading through it and that one it was kind of vague. So thank you for the clarification. And then with the property layout and the cost, is that you were saying that that's similar to TLC? So TLC has the same square footage as.
No, it's the same per square foot rate as TLC.
Oh, okay.
The dollars are different because they have different size facilities.
Okay, that was my main question. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Page.
Mr. Ortega.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes, thanks. All I want to say is I want to move this item so we can get going with the meeting for approval.
So is that your motion to move
It's
it?
my motion to approve license agreement. I'm sorry. Yes, license agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Trustee Minor. Any further discussion?
Yes, I have some more questions, please.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to address your Mr. Ledesma's comments regarding the charter school. As far as the footprint is concerned, it's the same footprint as Olive Crest, but Olive Crest decided to put portables in that area, so they paid for the portables, correct?
There are some portables that we believe are owned by the district and some portables that Olive Crest added.
Okay. So the difference that they were paying is they were paying $16,000 per month, which is equivalent to what, about $175,000 a year, and Explore Academy will be paying about $75,000 a year.
The first year they're paying $6,400 per year. Yes.
Okay. So less than half.
But let's be clear, it's different amount of property that Olive Crest occupied compared to Explorer Academy.
Excuse me, this is my time to talk.
I'm just trying to clarify things for you.
So I'm asking you, so you said that the same building that they're occupying is the same one that Olive Crest occupied, right?
The classroom building with bathrooms is the same permanent structure that Olive Crest occupied, and the same parking and blacktop space. And I'm not sure if they've been removed yet, but there were portables as well, some of which are Olive Crest and some of which are the district's.
Okay.
But this space is the same.
So they will not be using any of the portables?
They are not included in this agreement.
Are they in the same property boundaries? Or what I'm trying to do is compare apples to apples. I want to make sure, I want to see that the same like property, the building is going to be used by Explore Academy, and that was there additional properties or land that Olive Crest used? Or is it the same land with the portables? That's what I'm trying to get at.
It is primarily the same land. There are portables that I believe are in the process of being removed, and I don't know where they will be in condition to become
I can
blacktop.
speak to that a little bit. The footprint is generally the same because the area for the blacktop space
Okay.
is also the area that the portables were residing.
Okay.
So part of this agreement is to allow for play space, which is the blacktop area. But they won't be using the portables that are on that same blacktop area. And our facilities team will soon be going through there to make an assessment of the of those portable buildings that are still there. They've been there for quite some time, including the leased portables that Olive Crest had there. And so it's uncertain as to how the owners of those portables will deal with those portables that are there on campus. But that's part of the work going forward. And I think that's part of the confusion because they won't use any of those classrooms that Olive Crest was using, but yet it still sits on the same footprint because the portables are on the blacktop space.
So those portables are leased, and so
About half of
potentially
them.
they could abandon them or not.
Olive Crest is required to, under the agreement, Olive Crest is responsible for the ones that
Okay.
belong to Olive Crest, and they'll have to remove them unless the district lets them not remove them.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So basically, Explore Academy is paying half of what Olive Crest is paying, basically.
Less
Less than
Explorer
half.
is paying approximately $6,500 a month,
Mhm.
and the last agreement with Olive Crest was for $16,000.
Correct. So they're getting a substantial discount.
It's not a discount. It's apples and oranges. Mr. Gonzalez, those portables that Olive Crest was using, that took some utility costs, right? And I'm sure that was folded into the rental agreement.
Yes, and like we were saying, some of the portables that were there were leased and paid for by Olive Crest, and some of them belong to the district, and those Olive Crest was also using in various capacities for classroom
Which those
space
were
or-
OUSD. If those were OUSD portables, then I'm sure OUSD factored that into the rent as well. So you had utility costs and you had some cost of portables.
Do they pay their own utility costs, or do we pay for their utility costs as part of the rent?
I would have to defer to Ms. Harden on that.
Explorer is paying its own utilities costs. Olive Crest, the agreement is old, and I was not involved in it, and it wasn't the model per se for this, so I can't speak to every aspect of what was included in the Olive Crest agreement.
Okay.
But the question
But TLC
really-
is paying its own.
The question needs to be, what's the square foot cost? So that would answer the question, because at this point in time, it's like they're paying like 40% of what Olive Crest was paying. And if we assume that they have a little bit more property or a little bit less property than Olive Crest had, let's just call it 50% or even 60%. So we have a situation where it's a property lease agreement, straight up. There's no consideration of what kind of entity is renting it. It's just a straight up property agreement. We're charging them half price, essentially. If we have one student from OUSD that goes,
Charging them the proper rate for the
interrupt me
size.
for once,
Well,
just once.
I'm
It
just
would be
trying
really
to get things
great.
clarified here because I think you're putting
So-
false information out there.
If it's not false information, it is not false information. So you have, right now, we don't even know if one single OUSD student is going to go there. And so we're giving this rock star rate to an entity, and we don't know if it's going to benefit our students. But then if one
Misinformation.
student does go,
Trustee Erickson,
that
that's
will take care of-
misinformation, rock star rate.
You are.
You know and I know
interrupting
that's
her.
not right.
a significantly discounted rate from what the previous licensee was paying. How is that?
I just wanted to clarify that the per square foot rate that we charge is per square foot of building space. We don't charge for the land space. So depending on how many square feet of space made up our portables, we would have charged. If we were giving Explore those portables, that would have been calculated into the rate.
Okay.
There's just
I have
a lot
one
more
more.
factored into the rate to Olive Crest. So you cannot compare it to the rate that Explorer is going to.
Yes, they're for different spaces.
I have one more comment to address. Actually, I have one more thing to address Mr. Ledesma's comment earlier. He mentioned about OUSD test scores are low in the west side of Orange. And I just want to say that Mr. Ledesma, you were on the board for 22 years. You were part of the majority who did not elevate the test scores. What is your responsibility in this whole thing? I would like to find out why you didn't do more yourself to
I
help
would like to
Latina.
Can we
vote
stick
on
to the
what's
item, please?
what item on the agenda.
He
like to.
talked about the test scores
Please
originally.
stick to the item.
And the other thing I want
Let's
to
have a
say
vote,
is
please.
that you don't have children who attend OUSD schools. Your
I
children
attended OUSD.
attend
You're
private-
way off
Yamasaki, neither
topic.
do you.
Fine, talk about
And-
not on the agenda.
all three of my
You're
kids
way
attended
off
had.
topic. This
Okay,
is a license
the
agreement.
other thing I want to say is that there was recently new legislation that passed about conflict of interest. And it's actually in our board
Now
policy
you're-
that we're going to approve.
This
Now
is
you're
a
off
license
topic. You're
agreement.
Totally
No.
off topic.
No. In this,
No, please, we need to
no,
call for the
in
question.
this
Call
board
for the
policy.
question.
I'm going to call for the question.
You are trying to shut me
I
down
will-
again.
I will-
Again.
I will second that. I will second that.
There is a conflict
I will
of
second that.
interest that
Okay,
exists.
so now-
We have a call for the question and a second, so that means that there's no more discussion.
So we will vote on call for the question. If that passes, then we'll go straight to vote on the Charter Academy. Okay.
Explorer
I'd like
Academy?
Explorer Academy, excuse me. Ms. Karen, can we have a roll call for the question?
So to be clear, we are voting yes or no on whether or not we're going to vote.
Right. So if you say yes, that means we're going to move on to vote on the Explorer
Explorer.
Academy.
Can we clarify with council, is a call for the question a 5-2 vote or a 4-3 vote?
I believe it's a 4-3.
Is it for sure?
Yes, it's a 4-3
As long
vote.
as I've
I've
been
read
on
it
the
in
board.
Robert's rules that it is actually a supermajority.
So let me get this working. Thank you very much. I was trying to save time, I apologize. So Robert's rules never trumps the education code when it comes to voting. So this is a straight majority vote.
Can you tell me where it is in our board policies?
It's in the education code and case law interpreting issues about Robert's rules compared to the education code.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a motion and a
Roll
second.
call.
Roll call.
Ms. Minor,
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Ledesma,
Yes.
Mrs. Page,
No.
Ms. Erickson,
No.
Ms. Yamasaki.
No.
Motion passes. Now we vote on Explorer Academy licensing agreement.
Is there a motion and a second for that?
Yes, there was already a motion.
I
and a second.
moved it. Ms. Minor seconded.
Yeah. So, Karen, can we have another roll call vote, please?
Ms. Minor,
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Mr. Ledesma,
Yes.
Ms. Page,
No.
Ms. Erickson,
No.
Ms. Yamasaki.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. Item 7B.
All right, we have one comment for item 7B, and that would be Cecilia Iglesias. Okay, so no comment.
Pass on that, okay. Mr. Gonzalez, anything else? No?
No.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you. Ms. Green will be presenting on this item.
Good evening, Board President Ledesma, school board members, executive cabinet, staff, and community.
My name is Lisa Green, and I'm the Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Today, I will share with you the OUSD plan for the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant, which was approved as part of Assembly Bill 181 and 185, the Education Trailer Bill. This grant provides school districts with funding for arts, instructional materials, and other allowable uses. I want to first start by briefly reviewing the timeline of this grant. A little over a year ago, in June 2022, this grant was approved as written into AB 181, and later amended by AB 185, which revised the grant and allocated a total of about $3.5 billion to school districts throughout California. OUSD was at this time allocated $14,779,669. Then in November of 2022, we began to gather input from our educational partners on how these funds should be spent. We surveyed and held in-person input sessions for staff, parents, and students, including presenting at various community advisory committee meetings. We started to craft a plan based on the input that we had received. But when the governor's May budget revision came out, we saw that he was proposing to cut this grant by about 50%. This made us pause for a moment to start reprioritizing our expenditure proposal in case these cuts were made. But then in June, a budget was signed by the governor that only cut about 5% of the funds that were to be directed at this grant. We do not have our exact final allotment of funds yet, but we are estimating that it will be a total of around $13,958,576. So today we are presenting our educational partner-informed proposed plan for the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant for your review and approval. We will be asking tonight for the board approval of this plan. The funds in this grant must be spent according to this board-approved plan by June of 2026. The Assembly Bill encourages, but does not require, districts to use resources received for 5 different purposes proportionally, which includes art and music education programs, which was the original intent of the grant. The areas include use of funds for standards-aligned professional development and instructional materials, as well as those aligned to best practices. Another area funds can be used is to purchase book collections to promote student-independent reading, including leveled text. These funds can also be spent on operational costs and COVID-19 pandemic supplies. Now, let's take some time to look at the input that we received from our educational partners. We gathered input from staff, parents, and students. We surveyed our certificated staff, and we ended up with 241 staff who participated in the survey. We asked them which area or areas they would like to see the funding allocated to, and also specific ideas for use of the funding. As you can see, the biggest priority noted by staff for use of the funds was arts and music education, with 55.4% saying that this was their first priority. Then this is followed by smaller percentages for operational costs at 13.8%, standards-aligned PD and materials for 9.2%, developing book collections at 8.8%, and PD and materials for school climate at 5%. Then there is other uses at 6.7%. We had 1,894 parents participate in our survey for parents. We also received input from advisory committees such as the District Advisory Council and the District English Language Advisory Council. The number one priority for parents was expansion of visual and performing arts education, which we call VAPA, at 52.6%. And then VAPA instructional materials at 24.8%. Then there is also instructional materials to enhance courses at 9.3%, enhancing book collections at 3.1%, positive behavior and interventions professional development at 6.8%, and then 3.4% was other.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Book collections, can you explain that?
The main purpose of the book collections is to expand school and classroom library collections so that students have more choice in independent reading and really at leveled readers so that they can read at their level.
Thank you.
We also gathered input from our district curriculum council. Their number one priority was to enhance performance spaces at 28.6%, followed by VAPA instructional supplies at 19%, and then expanded VAPA education opportunities, and update technology, which each got 13%. Update facilities got 9.5%, and subject-specific PD at 4.8%.
Ms. Green, can I just clarify? When
Yes.
What update facilities versus performance spaces, do those overlap at all?
They overlap a little, but the update performance spaces was more like more opportunities for stages, Marley floors for dancing, acoustics in the rooms, whereas update facilities was things that went beyond and outside of VAPA performance space.
Okay, thank you.
Oops. Since the main purpose of these funds is a focus on arts and music, we had our secondary VAPA teachers facilitate discussions with their students to obtain their feedback on how to spend these funds. The majority of our secondary visual and performing arts students, 58.8%, felt funds should be spent on VAPA instructional materials. And instructional materials, when we're talking about that, that includes like instruments, art supplies, all of those different kinds of things. 23.5% wanted an expansion of VAPA education opportunities, and 17.6% wanted instructional materials to enhance courses K-12. So therefore, looking at all the feedback received from our educational partners, our top priority for utilizing these arts, music, and instructional material grant funds is arts and music education. This includes expansion of VAPA education, VAPA instructional materials, and performance spaces, enhancing them. Other requested uses of grant funding include standards-aligned PD and materials, school climate PD and materials, book collections, operational costs, and technology. So after we went through and reviewed all that, then we've now developed a plan, an expenditure plan for our arts, music, and instructional material grant, and we abbreviate that AMIM. And it's based on the feedback, again, of our educational partners. First, we propose allocating some funding directly to school sites to support site-specific visual and performing arts education opportunities. Next, we propose district-directed funds to support arts education, including expansion of VAPA educational opportunities for students, visual and performing arts instructional materials, enhancement of VAPA performance spaces, instrument refurbishment. We wanted to call this one out separate of VAPA instructional materials because it was a big call from our school sites and from our parents. Technology for VAPA instruction. So what that might look like is we do have some digital arts programs where they're using more high-powered iPads than what a regular iPad can utilize in order to have digital arts instruction. Increased VAPA performance opportunities, so we're talking about showcases, honors performances, or other performances to help support those that parents and communities can attend. Family engagement opportunities in the arts. New and updated arts curriculum. And also supporting the vertical articulation, which is something we started last school year with our VAPA teachers, really making sure that we have that flow of VAPA educational opportunities from elementary into middle and into high school so that they're aligned and best support our students being successful in VAPA. Then our proposed expenditure includes funds for professional development on positive behavioral supports and professional development on behavior management. We are also proposing expenditures for standards-aligned professional development and materials. This would include professional development specific to core content areas, and funds for additional books as well, such as bilingual books, nonfiction, classroom libraries, and decodable leveled readers. So thank you. Are there any questions regarding our proposed plan for the arts, music, and instructional materials grant funding?
Mr. Ledesma?
Yes, Mr. Ortega.
Thank you. That was a great presentation. I know, we've been looking forward to this funding. Obviously from the budget presentation saying they took our money away and then all of a sudden, well, wham, it's back again. So how did that happen? I know this has been an extremely significant program in our district. I don't know how long you've been here, so forgive me. But I remember when we went through those severe cuts when we just cut everything. I mean, decimated everything. And so one of the first things coming back was to reinstitute the VAPA program. And we have vowed, at the time the board had vowed, and subsequently thereafter, to maintain this program because it is so beneficial for kids. The feedback across the board is excellent. The teachers are phenomenal, in the different areas, respectfully. But it's been anything but positive. So, I mean, I fully support this. I've supported it. That was, like I said, that was one of the first things I remember, if I'm correct, somewhere in the neighborhood, we spent somewhere close to $2 million to reinstitute the program, to buy brand new instruments and get the whole program up and running. And at that juncture, everybody was very excited, and this is a continuum of that. So again, thank you for the presentation, and I fully support this. I've supported it 100%, even back then to now. So it's definitely something that's needed in our schools, kind of an outlet for students as well, to get out there and do different things, whether it's the arts, the dance, the music, blowing their heads off with trumpets and, all that kind of stuff. So, or banging the drums away. So.
Thank you. We always do hear great positive things about the VAPA opportunities for students. When we do our LCAP survey, that always comes up really strongly. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
I would like to also thank you for your presentation and just the energy that is put into the VAPA program. I'm a strong believer that arts and music is an avenue, a very important avenue for learning. It increases literacy, fluency. It uses all parts of our brain, which is really important. It's great for mental health, including being a part of a team and just having a balance in life, which is really important. Not to mention that all the connections there is to math, even with music and art as well. So I'm in full support of this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Trustee Erickson?
Yeah, I just want to echo those words as well. And I had a child that had a head injury, and arts and music were her savior. And it really demonstrated for me how different your brain works when something's not happening correctly. And then, but it really got her through everything. And I fully support this and know that it's so great for certain students that maybe learn differently than other students. So thank you for working so hard on it. It's really important.
Thank you.
Trustee Minor?
Just really quick, I was contacted by a handful of VAPA parents and their students, and they were just so excited to see this on the agenda. They couldn't be here tonight to speak, it looks like, but just thank you for your work, and I'm so grateful that this kind of a miracle showed up in our plate, so that the VAPA students, knowing that there's a lot of students that's their drive, that's their reason for going to high school, so it's really exciting that this is back in play. Thank you.
Thank you. We're very excited to get this plan approved so we can start purchasing replacements for instruments that we need, uniforms for our band, different instructional supplies, materials, and just really make our VAPA program even more exceptional than it already is.
Trustee Yamasaki?
I just want to say thank you for all your hard work on this. I know sometimes, when you don't know if funding's going to come through and it's like, do you do the work for nothing, or do you do the work and try to hope for something to happen? And I would love to see us even expand further the music and arts in our district, because I feel like it's important as well.
Yeah, we will be, we're currently looking at Prop 28 funding, so we're trying to estimate how much that's going to be, and that's for more instructional VAPA staff. So we're just very excited about these opportunities we have.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, she wants.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Trustee Page.
Thank you, Ms. Green. I was wondering if you can elaborate a bit more or share some examples on site-specific VAPA opportunities. So what would that look like at our dual immersion schools, at like our STEM schools, different things like?
Exactly. So that may look in some different ways. It could look like an expansion of our Meet the Masters or Art Masters programs that we have going in. Currently, the district pays for a certain limited number for grades K through 4, and then sometimes our schools want to expand on that. It could look at purchasing additional recorders or something like that for our school sites, arts materials for our school sites. At the secondary level, it's going to get really specific to what their pathway need is. Some of our schools are really in need of new instruments. Maybe some of our schools are talking about kilns, for ceramics. And they're talking about, they would like to see if we can do something with the acoustics in some of the rooms. And like I said, with the dance floors, doing certain things like that. I know we put in one at Yorba a few years back, and it's just so beneficial to the dance. So it's different things like that maybe district-wide isn't a need, but it's something that really goes above and beyond what we as a district would put our money, would put our funds directed at. It's something that's really specific for that school site. So it's, talking with the community at that school site, with the parents at that school site, and seeing what their ideas specifically are and really building a plan for use of those funds for themselves. So for the high schools, what we were looking at would be like about $50,000 a year for them to use on these things that are really for them. And then it goes down a little bit lower in the middle schools and in the elementary. But then beyond that, the schools, if they need more than that for something specific and it aligns with what our plan is, then they would just contact us, because we really want to make sure each school has its own needs, but we want to really make it strong and we want to make it consistently a successful program throughout the district.
Okay, thank you. And then with Art Masters currently, the district pays half of it and then the PTA pays the other half.
We pay for 3 artists a year for grades TK4, and then if the school site wants to do 5th and 6th grade Art Masters or Meet the Masters, and if they want to expand on the number of artists or the materials, then that's where the PTA usually comes in.
Oh, okay, so this could potentially mean that with this fund, we can expand that program.
Exactly.
And then increasing VAPA performance opportunities, does that mean we can build partnerships with neighboring theaters? So for example, if they wanted to do a bigger performance or have a larger audience, they can partner with Chapman or...
Exactly. So one of the things I heard, Santiago Charter School was so kind and to let us have our VAPA honors performances there this year. But if you were there, it was a tight fit. So we really wanted to try to have alternate performance spaces where we could expand and have more of our community and more of our families be able to attend in a comfortable setting that really showed off the talent of our students.
Perfect. And then what does family engagement opportunities look like?
So that's when we were kind of trying to think of having some more opportunities, whether it's after school or it's opportunities for families to come onto school to benefit from some additional arts to do together with the family. I know back when I was a teacher, we used to have events. And the events went beyond literacy events. So sometimes we would have events where the families would come actually into the classroom and we'd do some kind of art activity together, or we would do it after school, like kind of an engagement night, family engagement night. So adding some additional things like that, I think would be really beneficial for our families.
That sounds amazing. Thank you. And then, so I studied music since I was 4 years old, and so I know the importance of starting early. Does this mean we're going to start in the younger grades?
So that's where we're hoping that we can use this grant jointly with some of the Prop 28 funding that we're getting. So Prop 28 funding, the funding scenario is going to get us some good amount of money, and each school site will get allocated from the state a certain amount of money. And those funds have to be spent 80% on instructional staff for VAPA. So we're hoping that that can help coordinate with this to really expand the opportunities down to lower grade levels.
Okay. And then when I was in high school, I took AP Music Theory. Does that mean we can bring that class back?
Yes, so we can look back at those kind of things. We can look at funding it with this, or we can look at funding it with the Prop 28, because increasing sections, so having more opportunities for classes like that, would be increasing or using it on instructional staff.
Okay. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you. And then,
If I may move it.
yes.
Okay, second?
I can second.
Second, okay, moved by trustee Ortega,
This page.
second by trustee Page. Thank you, great report. Looking forward to all the wonderful outcomes.
Thank you for approving it.
Thank you.
We
Okay,
haven't voted.
We need to vote.
no, I haven't voted yet, but,
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for moving it.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, information item 8A, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you. The district policies and bylaws are reviewed and updated periodically as new state and federal laws and regulations are enacted. The proposed revisions for the following board bylaws are presented for first read, and it is planned to bring them back for August for a second read and adoption. And then we will also be, we're also planning on bringing board policies for first read in August. So I just wanted to make sure that the board is aware. We're happy to entertain any questions or comments, make any changes, or do additional research that the board might want before presenting back to the board for second read on these items.
So we can also, because it's a lot of policies, so as we review, we can come back to you between now and the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can update through Friday letter.
Okay.
Okay.
Trustee Yamasaki?
Yes, I just want some clarification. So when we have a board policy, and this is for the public as well, when we have a board policy and there is a change, usually it's dictated by a change in the government code, correct?
Yes, it could
Or
be
new laws.
It could be a government code or laws, case law.
Okay.
Any of those things can prompt the district to consider changes in its policies.
Okay. So when there is a new law that makes it that we have to do this, do they usually have time, or is there a time frame that we have to implement it by, or is it something that's recommended? Like, when do we change it in our policies based on, do we do it after they say you have to do it now? Or, like, what I'm trying to do is clarify the sequence.
Yeah, and thank you for that, because I think it is good for the public to know that. And if Mr. Covert would like to add any additional to my comments, he may. But if there is a new law, we would need to follow the new law.
Mm-hmm.
There's no time frame in terms of that.
So
When
even
there's-
if you don't adopt a policy, you still have to follow
You have to
the
follow
law.
the law.
Okay.
Yes, and then so periodically, so it's not expected that the boards would immediately change policy based on law, but periodically it's expected for boards to review their policies and update them as such. So we get updates periodically in our office, and each division basically tracks their own and brings those changes
Okay.
forward to the board periodically.
So if there is a conflict between the law and the board policy, what prevails?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that we will
Yeah, I
fol-
just want it to
follow
be
the law.
said out
Yes,
there.
yes.
Okay. So whenever there's a conflict between board policy and the law always prevails.
Yes, and then we bring these forward to basically catch up our policies
Okay.
to those laws.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez, also, although, yes, board policy, the law, but boards can also add to the policy within reason, right?
Yes, I think a good example of that is the board had some discussion at the last meeting in regards to public comment and asked staff to go back and take a look at the policies and how we can enact a change in terms of a 3-minute, 2-minute, 1-minute rule. So we added those into the policies for consideration for first read here, but those were not updates in law or case law.
Right.
Yeah, so there's other reasons as
There's
well.
a certain level of board prerogative to update policies and make changes. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to move on here to consent items.
Okay, we have a public comment on 13I, which is a consent item.
13I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why don't we take that now?
Jolyn?
Might want to say it a little louder.
13I, she's coming.
Oh, there she is.
Textbook and supplemental text adoptions.
Hi, I've just heard here and elsewhere that people are concerned they don't have access to what the children are learning in the classroom. So I just wanted to make sure people that saw this at home or watch this later realize that on the back shelf here and at the meetings for all the materials that get approved are back there to be flipped through and see exactly what's in the AP textbook. It's not a secret, so you can come to the meetings. They also have it available at the district office. Parents, if you want to find out, it's all here for you. And if you're like me, you do want to find out. So thank you.
That's all.
Okay. We have consent items 9, 10, 11.
Probably through 16.
Would we like to, well, first of all, does anyone want to pull a consent item? Consent items are acted upon by one motion. However, any such item can be considered separately at a board member's request and will be acted upon following approval of the consent items.
Just 13B.
13,
It'll be really quick.
13D?
B is in Bravo.
Okay. 13B. Any other ones? Otherwise, I'd like to have a motion for approval of all consent items,
I'll move the rest.
excluding 13B.
I'll move
Second.
all but 13B.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by trustee Erickson, second by trustee Page. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Now we're moving on to 13B.
Yeah, really quick, I just want to bring this up. This is an item that I did pull last time, and so I'm pulling it again, and just for explanation, is that I wanted to make sure that based on who this company is and what they have on their website and things of that nature, I did double check with staff, and I did speak to Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Abercrombie about this. And so I just wanted to bring it up and saying that we're utilizing only certain components of this and not all of it. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And I can provide the components we were using in a Friday update.
Okay. And so, you know, some of the other things, and this is part of the whole learning style assessments, personality, you know, it kind of goes into this social emotional, the SEL that we've talked about, and, you know, then we're looking at data footprint and how are we capturing that. And that was the other discussion. I'm not going to get too much into it, but that's something for TAM to further up with us on separately. On how we're controlling that footprint versus it getting out and them capturing the data of our students. And the reason I bring this up too is this is in follow-up to what we passed for the Parents' Bill of Rights last board meeting, and having that right and a proactive involvement with it in any of our curriculum. So I just want to make sure this is going to be provided up front, not as I mentioned last one, where it was a passive consent, where you kind of go, a car speeding by and just, oh yeah, we need approval. Versus, no, we're going to be up front. We already said we are. And this is going to be one of them that we can target in that sense to let parents know what it is that we're utilizing these programs for, and wanting to be upfront and open with them. So if they can go to our website under the Parents' Bill of Rights, they can see this, and it'll be delineated for them exactly what it is, how it is, and how is it going to be used. So we want to be open with them. We want to get their consent. If there is consent, we want to be able to get that to the parents, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, a text message, the bat signal, whatever it is allowing them that opportunity to know exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. As I always say, the who, what, where, whens, and whys associated with that. So I just
Can I
want
ask
to
a
bring that
question?
forward.
Can I ask a question?
Please. Trustee Ramsey.
Is this for only high school? This is like getting them ready, starting as a freshman, getting them prepared to just decide where they're going to go to or college and so on.
It's mostly for high school, but there are some middle school components, and I can provide those specific lessons like in the Friday letter.
Okay. And, okay.
And I just want to add that this particular program we are recommending and moving forward because it is aimed at leveling the playing field a little bit in terms of, there's some families that can afford to, hire consultants in regards to their, college interests. And this is a way in which we can provide some of that in-house. But staff has reviewed it and believes that, it complies in terms of protecting students' data as well. So we've reviewed it for those reasons as well. And so that's why it's being recommended for approval.
So is there any ability for a parent to possibly opt out of this?
There could be a possibility. We'd have to look into that and see the most effective way to navigate that and inform everybody and work with the counseling teams that utilize this.
So when you enroll in Orange High or Villa Park, it's kind of an automatic enrollment. They're part of a system. They're going to help them navigate the best way to the college that they want to go to, correct? Okay.
Is this program's used pretty widely all over, right? Private schools, public schools, you name it. How long have we utilized it? It's been a while. I know it's been around for.
I think maybe 3 or 4 years. Lisa, do you? About 5 years. Yeah.
So I just want to highlight one thing that we get in our Friday packets, and one of them was our progress on the Orange Unified Edge, and the survey. It was a survey with a 98% participation rate among graduating seniors from our high schools. And I'll just read it. A remarkable 90% of our students expressed their plans to pursue higher education, representing a pretty substantial increase from the year before. And yay. And 40% of them were attending a 4-year university, 50% a 2-year university. Speaking a bit to the equity issue that you sort of alluded to right there, 10% were planning to work full-time, enlist in the military, or take a gap year. So it also did a survey of what some of the favorite classes are and things. So I think that this is a really good addition and supplement and tool for our students to use to be able to achieve those things. And we should be really proud of those statistics, I think. So good job, everybody.
Can I add one more comment? This was on the agenda, I think, in May or June when our student board members were still here, and they had a comment on it. They just wanted to say that they absolutely love this program because, like the personality test, that they had no idea what they wanted to do or what they wanted to major in when they went to college. And even though at first they wanted to take a different career path, they ended up falling back with whatever the results were from Zello, So that's something that they had wanted to share with the rest of us.
Good. Trustee Yamasaki?
Yeah, I just want to mention that this is a replacement for Naviance, correct? Because back 5 years ago, we were using Naviance instead of Zello.
We've had a similar
correct?
tool by other names over the last, umpteen years. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say I talked to some parents who are using this, and they said that it's great. A lot of our kids don't have the ability to hire a college counselor, like you said, and this will help our kids to develop their pathways and what their strengths are, and then it helps them to choose colleges based on what their strengths are or whatever their interests are, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Trustee Ortega.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Rumsey. No further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. We just went through pulled items for action. Public comment.
We have 20 non-agenda comments, so that puts us at 1 minute to keep us at 20 minutes. That puts us at 1 minute per comment. First one is Joe Lynn. Okay, Lori Kaler.
Evidently, citizens in the OUSD area are upset that they have been lied to by members of the recall effort. We have heard that people are trying to recall our elected officials on this board who are they're getting people to sign the petitions by claiming that they are for parents' rights and for children. Clearly, the motivation for the recall is on the back of their shirts: protect public education. Well, we should be protecting our children. Those who protect children the best are the parents. The school board should be putting students first, which means that they should keep parents informed of all that's happening with their kids. Obviously, the previous Superintendent Hansen was not keeping parents informed. Rather, she withheld information about an elementary teacher and a Canyon wrestling coach who were each charged with possession of child pornography. When parents came to complain about inappropriate material being exposed to their children, Hansen ignored them. So far, more than 30 books with explicit material have been discovered in the K-12 libraries. 4 of these were made available to K-2 students. Subjects and details such as rape, pedophilia, and other violent acts are even stated.
Summarize. Okay. Please.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Next is Jenny Sloan, and then on deck is Bill Masters, and after that is Ernie Meha. Mejia.
Please proceed.
Okay, I know it's a brief amount of time, so I'm going to just address what just happened here, where we have a charter school that is unproven, that we're going to give our facilities instead of, maybe providing better public education for West Orange, as you're so concerned about, Rick. Instead of getting as much money as we can, getting the right amount of money for the stuff that we have, we're getting less than 50% of the money. So now we have less money for our students so that kids can come here from other districts. It just piles on and on. It's unbelievable. If you really care about the students of West Orange, then invest in their public education. It's like, that's your job, not to sell our stuff. Am I the only one who's just gobsmacked? They had nothing about this charter. It's incredible.
Bill Masters. Aaron Mejia. Apologies for Karen Barone.
Hi, my name is Erin Mejia, and I'm a taxpayer and resident within OUSD. And I've been coming to these board meetings for 7 months now, and I know that you cannot speak on closed agenda items, but at this meeting, it was very clear that some did have additional information. Yeah, after being called out on it, there is no mention of superintendent in a readout of an appointment. within closed session. That is a continued lack of transparency. These same people that obviously have insider information spoke on appointing a Latino superintendent, which you glossed over, and I am full support of a Latino superintendent, but as a board majority, you did not support proper translation for parents in the Parents' Bill of Rights. That is a contradiction to what you support. Madison, you have shared things about programs and removing programs like AVID. That is not supporting our Latino community. Madison, you share recall information and accuse me of sexualizing children within our district.
Please, can we have the next speaker?
Karen Barone. And Maria L. is on deck. Maria L.
Please, excuse me, before you start, please, folks, please. Okay.
Good evening. I'm a parent of 2 OUSD students and will be starting my 24th year teaching in OUSD. At the last board meeting, LCAP data was shared and 4 parent priorities were noted: improved facilities, increased safety protocols, continued school maintenance, and lower teacher to student ratio. So I'd like to address the teacher to student ratio. We know this board will never vote to lower class sizes, but parents have expressed this as a priority. I think all OUSD educators will agree that there are learning gaps and socialization concerns for our students due to COVID, and we need help to fill those gaps. Madison, you've said you're concerned about test scores, yet have done nothing to address those scores you were worried about. Instead, you and Ledesma have wasted board meeting time putting forth flag policies and Parents' Bill of Rights, which are redundant. All the money that has been wasted since the January 5th meeting could have been put to better use for our students, the people you claim to care so much about. The money the 4 of you have wasted could have been spent to hire reading and math intervention teachers to help our elementary school teachers especially. This wouldn't lower class sizes, but it would at least help to address the problem. Please address the problem.
Maria L. And then on deck is Joette.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. I want to convey my appreciation for members Ledesma, Ortega, and Minor for protecting parents' rights and also for the best interests of the children. I'm really disappointed in the non-collaborative efforts of certain board members here that it just seems non-productive. And I want to say I would really like a Parents' Bill of Rights, because when I used to have an IEP and I would request things in the IEP, what the SPED, Special Education Department, would always say, we already do that. We don't need to put it inside the IEP. And that's what I see the opposition saying right now. Thank you.
On deck is Sonia.
Okay, in the beginning, I would like to say thank you, Rick Ledesma. Thank you, John Ortega. Thank you, Madison Minor. Thank you, Angie Ramsey. Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate you. The fact that you put up with this crap, I can't believe it. Anyway, I really thought it was revealing. Chris Erickson said, oh, we're losing enrollment and the funding that goes along with that enrollment. That tells exactly where you stand, Chris, and you're not hiding it from anybody. And Rick, you said it depends on the success of the student. Those words will go down in history because that's exactly what it depends on. It's our students. We don't care about the teachers' union, those little orange-shirted fiends over there. We care about the kids, not the teachers' union. We are the parents. We care about the kids. It's the kids that matter.
Sonia? Mary? Tanya? These are all just no last names.
Okay, somebody's coming up here.
Lamb?
Is on deck.
Okay. What's your name? Tanya. Okay. So on deck is Lam. I believe, Liam, or Michelle Loveland.
Please.
If there's any parents with kids in the room, please leave. Then he pushes up the tulle and satin of your skirt, rustling like wrapping paper coming undone. Yeah, you guys don't want to hear it, but it's in our kids' libraries. And his hands reach Canyon.
Please.
Canyon High School reaches and finds the lace panties you brought just especially for this occasion, and slowly, slowly he pulls them down your thighs. Between your thighs, he smiles and you see his face in the moonbeam. And what you're seeing, you don't know what to make of the redness on his chin. You are slick with blood, and so the tampon slips in easily. This is the garbage that is in our schools. This is the garbage. Red Hood by Elena Arnold, and it is one of several that is in our schools. What academic value does this hold? How does this teach our children to be moral, good people, upstanding citizens? What? Give me a good reason.
Michelle Loveland. So there's no lamb out there, Lam? Is there a lamb?
Okay, maybe he doesn't want to speak.
Okay.
So who's?
Michelle Loveland. And then on deck is Gia Deheeh, Dheeh.
Okay. Go ahead.
Article 16, Section 6 of the California Constitution states very simply, the government cannot give away public funds to a private person or company. Penal Code 424 PC makes it a crime for a public officer or trustee of public funds to misappropriate the funds for inappropriate use. Conviction of felony, 4 years in jail, disqualification from holding public office. An OUSD Board AR 3544 policy deals with the use of district-owned vehicles. States passenger cars and trucks owned by the district may be available for board members and district personnel for school business only. So in light of these laws, ask if the board of what former Superintendent Hansen and Assistant Superintendent Corella were engaged in. Was it violation and broke the law? Yes, it was. They were doing what was illegal. Over the last few months, it has become clear there was a well-known secret at the district office about Corella's use of a district vehicle. She made $259,000. Surely she could afford her own car.
On deck is Jessie S.
Hi, thank you. Most of the families in this nation and in this county cherish their families and want to protect their children. They enroll their children in schools to be educated. Things have changed. Previously, differences of opinions were debated and dialogue was encouraged. Now the education system has developed into an administrative bully. Bullying in the playground is not tolerated, but the teachers' union has become the strong arm of the education monolith. Any difference in opinion is punishable by bullying and or worse. The children do not belong to the teachers' union or to the educational district. Teach and educate. Do not indoctrinate. Conservative values have historically been American values. If we don't protect these children from harmful policies, perverse curriculum and books, and influencing their minds to accept the progressive ideologies, then destruction of our future is at the threshold of this nation. Save the families and the children. Vote no to the recall.
So on deck is Yolanda.
This recall is nothing but a special interest power grab. Those pushing the recall falsely claim the board majority violated the Brown Act. According to the Orange County District Attorney who conducted the independent investigation, the only board member who was found to have broken the law by violating the Brown Act was Chris Erickson. Why isn't Erickson being recalled? Make no mistake, parental rights and quality education for our students are at stake here. Do not support the recall or sign the petition. Those backing the recall want to replace education with indoctrination. If the recall succeeds, they will work to strip away parents' rights. No recall. We all know the Communist Democratic Unions don't give a damnation about the students. All they care about is pushing communist indoctrination to our students. Everything the teachers' unions have supported have harmed public education in California.
On deck is Lee Tuesnot.
Buenas noches. A nombre de Dios quiero hablar esta noche a todos, cada uno de ustedes, para expresar mi agradecimiento por los miembros de la Junta que protegen los derechos de los padres y trabajan para mantener la inocencia de los estudiantes. Gracias, señor Ledesma, señor Ortega y señora Minson. También quiero que los maestros y otros miembros de la Junta sepan que los padres y abuelos no queremos material sexual, clínicas de Planned Parenthood, familiar y material, que se adoctrinen públicamente a los niños, no queremos que la educación es educación, no adoctrinamiento. Nadie tiene el derecho de distorsionar la mente de los niños. Los niños son de Dios.
Señora,
los niños son sagrados.
Ya, señor,
Respetemos.
Señora, por favor, deja la traducción.
And Mr. Ledesma, just for the audience and for anybody watching, I just wanted to make sure that it's clear to everyone that in the board bylaws, when we have somebody that's speaking another language and there's a translation, that there's double the time. It's the regular time in order to make a statement in your language, and then also the time to translate. So I just wanted to make that clear, so that way those understand that they don't have to half their time when they're giving their public comment. Thank you.
Señora, es un minuto para usted y después un minuto para la traducción. Please. Wait, yeah, your mic's not on. Or just come up to the mic here, the podium.
Good evening, members of the board, and in the name of God,
A little louder,
I
please.
want to thank you, all the members of the board, and she mentions particularly Mr. Ledesma, Mr. Ortega, and Ms. Minor, who protect the rights of parents and the innocence of the students, and all the parents and grandparents of this district do not want their children to be indoctrinated. Education is education. It is not indoctrination. Nobody has the right to influence the mind and distort the mind of the children that are angels of God.
Lee Tuesnot, and then it is
Ya
Esther.
se puede sentar, señora. Gracias.
And then it's Esther.
Goodest of evenings. My name is Lee. I am a parent of 3 amazing kids in this district and a product of the district myself. I don't know if it was mentioned, I was running late from practice, but the next meeting happens the day after the school year starts here. And I, first of all, want to wish every student and teacher an amazing school year. And I would also like to encourage this board to stop aiding in the villainization of the teachers. I've heard them called Nazis in this room tonight. Perverts, Nazis, indoctrinated, evil, all kinds of things. And my kids have only ever experienced
Please,
amazing.
folks, please, excuse me. Please, let's focus on the speaker. Please.
My kids have only ever experienced amazing teachers who care deeply about their well-being. They communicate well with us. They're good people. I'm not saying there can't be bad people in every kind of walk of life, but stop the general villainization of these good people. Thank you.
So Esther, and then Dawn, and then Honey Davis.
Okay, I would like to say that I am for Ledesma, Ortega, and Minor, and that I am against a recall of these people and against indoctrination. I'm also pro-student and pro-parent. And so I've seen a lot of damage that the teachers' unions have done, and them being given $500,000 to promote their cause, and then up against the parents and the students. Let's think about follow the money trail.
Next one.
All right, Dawn is Honey Davis out there?
Hi, I wanted to speak upon the recall. You know, people tell us accept the election, but when you recall somebody, what are you saying? You're not accepting the election.
Please.
And you expect us to accept things, so your hypocrisy is on full display for everybody to see. This is so very Marxist of our teachers, proving that what I've claimed for years, that the communist Marxists have infiltrated our schools and seek to turn our children against us. This is exactly why parents have lost faith in government and anything run by the government. I'm sure you're aware of the U.S. Department of Education toolkit that's funded by our tax dollars that encourages sexualization and disillusionment of our children. No, this is not a conspiracy theory. This recall attempt lends to the credibility of the claims. I'd like to ask all of those of you wearing the orange shirts, who are you protecting?
Please.
Educate.
Thank you. Is that it? Okay. Item 18, other business, board, staff, conferencing. No one else? Okay. Let us adjourn at 9:31. Thank you.